Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with PFL's Kyle Driscoll ahead of his upcoming fight at the World Tournament against Husein Kadimagomaev. I've probably butchered that pronunciation, but how are you doing ahead of that upcoming fight?
I'm good, man. Just camp's been going well. Just really looking forward to getting through the weight cut and getting in the cage.
Exactly. And I saw today that you are currently weighing out just under that 170 mark. You are fighting at lightweight. How much weight do you normally cut ahead of a fight?
It always varies. I like to, you want to be within the 2 gallons. That's 16 pounds. My objective was to be like 168 on Monday when I got out there.
Yeah.
But we're ahead of schedule, so things are running fine in that department.
And how do you feel like Hussein's going to come into this fight?
He'll come a better version of his last fight, I'm sure. It's usually what good fighters do. He's a
Yeah,
good fighter. Um, He's going to come in strong, confident, ready, but that's why we fight.
exactly. And do you feel like this gives you your platform? You go out there, you get that great finish, and that cements your position in the tournament next year.
Yeah, 100%. And, fortunately, my managers had that discussion with him that a win here puts us in the 2026 tournament. So really determined, but also just, I got to handle Hussein.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him away, and then whatever comes from that comes from that. But yeah, I would very much look forward to that's a life-changing opportunity right there. Something I've been
And
working my whole life for.
and have you been kind of like watching the tournament so far this year?
Yeah, I've actually since signing with PFL, I've been watching PFL more, just kind of want to familiarize myself with the surroundings. What does the walkout look like? The canvas, the
Yeah.
cage, who's commentating, just things of that sort. And I think PFL is an incredible organization. All the fighters are top notch, some really good fights throughout PFL. And, I'm super grateful for this opportunity to go get to perform on their stage.
And how much would it mean to be able to get that prize? I'm pretty sure it is 500,000 now, but how big is it to that's just life-changing money?
Yeah, 500,000 or a million. That's that was, I think my whole career when I was on the come up, it was always like UFC. I wanted UFC. I
Yeah.
was upset with performances if the UFC didn't call, things like that. So I think this has just shown me the goal all along was to make a living from this fight game.
Yeah.
The UFC is just a brand. Yes, it's the UFC, but I think the goal was to make a living, support a family, and that's what I'm most grateful for, is to get to fight and do that.
And you have been on some of the biggest organizations that, besides the UFC, you have got on the PFL. You're coming into that. You've been able to fight in Cage Warriors, LFA. How have all these different experiences been throughout your career?
I think they've all served their purposes. Dana White's Contender Series was
Yeah,
awesome. You reach you're on the doorstep of the peak. But I think the biggest tool in my toolbox as far as experience goes is the Cage Warriors circuit, because the fight I had with George Hardwick in London, that was
yeah,
there was like a big fight feel. Like the media, arriving in London, there was a lot of talk around it. And so I feel like getting to experience that, if you get to experience a main event for Cage Warriors for a world title, that is high level. It feels like a big fight. I think of Paul Hughes versus Morgan Charrier, big fight feel. I'm sure Gary had his few, but I think I'm such a Cage Warriors fan, man. I think it's so cool seeing that circuit. But those, even headlining two of their San Diego cards, that's a big fight feel. It feels awesome. They do such a good job. So I think that's a big feather in my cap, is my experience through Cage Warriors and getting that, in particular the George Hardwick fight.
and I think what's also been quite shown this year is the American fighters in the Cage Warriors are coming over to the UK more. And they are not just having these one-off fights; they're also in that title picture. You have Javier Garcia, who's just fought Harry Hardwick in London for the title. That was a no contest, but you also have Anthony Roscoe. How big do you feel like it is that they are now bringing these fighters over to the UK as well, just to give you guys more fights in the organization?
I think it's like an experience that very few get to go. And I don't care if it's Cage Warriors or the UFC. Like
Yeah,
to fly to London and fight in the main event of even if it, same if it's the Indigo at the O2, like the energy in that room is insane. And I
yeah,
thought like when I was the main event in San Diego, people were flipping me off, cussing me out, like all of his people. So I thought London was going to be the same. And every like the culture, the environment was so like they just wanted to see a good fight. Like they were cool. Everyone was taking pictures, dapping me up. When I walked out, they were so cool. And they just wanted to see a good fight. And I think George and I put on a good show, but it's an experience that few get to have, but it's such a feather in your cap. So I like to see the Americans go over there. It is hard, I will say, on my experience. I got there like on a Tuesday, had to make weight on a Thursday, and I was living in California at the time. I probably got like 4 hours of sleep that whole week just because of the time change.
yeah.
I wouldn't change anything and I'd never make an excuse, but if I could have something change about the situation, if I were to ever go to Europe and fight again, I have to get there like 10 days out. Just that jet lag is so freaking real.
And I think some people just don't. I think they underestimate of how much of importance that is. Because I was speaking to Alfie Davis ahead of his title fight last time in the last round, and he was just talking about he'd go in there quite a few days in advance just to adjust. Do you feel like that is the main thing? Is just the time difference that you obviously it is that you need that time to adjust.
Oh, for sure. It's, the jet lag and then your circadian rhythm has to like pick up on the new
Yeah,
time because it was something crazy like nine. I'd be trying to go to sleep in London, and then my brain would be like, dang, it's 2 p.m. back home. Like,
it was training.
yeah, like my body just wasn't used to it. And it is what it is. But that's definitely something that if all these Americans coming over, if I could say, like, spend the extra money and get there a couple days early, let yourself adjust because performing there is beautiful. It's an amazing thing.
And unfortunately, you weren't able to be successful against George. But it kind of seems like you have kind of bonded since that fight. I know in your last fight against Jamie Lynch, he was congratulating you on the win. How has it been since that fight?
George, George and I have a lot of mutual respect for sure. There was never bad blood. I think we both leveled up a lot that night. I poured my heart and soul into that fight camp. I had all the best people in the world investing in me. I brought the best version of myself, and he did too. I think we both had to dig deep there. He good on him. He found the patented body shot. But I learned so much, and I got so much better from that. And this game brings the highest highs and the lowest lows. George snapped the 8 fight win streak, so I was like, well, now the UFC is definitely not going to come calling. So took like a year off, just not really training, not really caring. And then I got the Jamie Lynch fight. The whole word around that was like, go knock this guy out, and we're in a good position to go to the UFC. So knock him out, and then even Ian Dean in the back was like, hey, great stuff tonight. I don't think I have anything else for you. You're probably going to be hearing from Sean Shelby. So you even
Yeah.
hear that from Ian, and it's like, wow, I'm just on cloud nine. And then I come back straight to work. 2 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by, 6 weeks. They haven't called. I'm like, man, I just got super discouraged about it. Um, but it feels good to be back in the saddle.
And like you said, you kind of got a little bit discouraged from that. But how good was it to be able to hear that when the phone rang and the PFL was offering you that deal?
Oh, it was my manager called with it, kind of said the pay because he's been giving me great opportunities. And truly, I've told him outside of the UFC, like at PFL, I just never even thought about it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, but he would send me like an LFA or some of these other fights, and I just said if it's not Cage Warriors, I don't want it. Like the only one I want is Cage Warriors when they come back to San Diego, get me on. And then he sent this opportunity, sent the pay, and it's like I'll fight anybody for that.
Exactly. And then you're going to go on and win that 500,000 next year as well.
Yes.
And outside of the fighting game, you are also a wrestling coach, and you are also back in the day. You did also do the wrestling in your college career. How was that for you?
Yeah, wrestling's my roots. That's what I started wrestling when I was 4. So it makes me, I think it goes deeper than just the wrestling with how much it makes me a better person. I'm coaching these kids, and
Yeah,
we got one kid that's Jake Miller. He's like top 5 in the nation here in America in high school wrestling, going to go Division 1. So it's made my fight game so much better just having, now I'm always wrestling with these guys. I'm just a glorified, I coach, yes, but if I'm there at practice, I'm laced up and we're scrapping. And, knowing that these little dudes look up to me, trying to be an example. So I think more than what I've done in wrestling, it's like the wrestling community giving back to me with like just fighting for more than myself.
and do you feel like the wrestling world is now coming and mixing in with that MMA world now? Obviously, you have got Mitch McKee doing his thing in the LFA, but you also got Bo Nickel doing his thing in the UFC, and it also started from DC, but it is now you are seeing those fighters now move over from the wrestling side over to the MMA world.
Yeah, even on this card that I'm fighting on, like Logan Storley's the main
Yeah,
event, the 4-time All-American beast. Bryce Meredith's on the card I saw,
yeah,
NCAA runner-up. There's a guy, Jordan Newman. He was a Division 2 All-American. Like American wrestling, it breeds animals, man. It's such a tough, gritty environment and atmosphere. The culture is just different. And I love that the world's getting to see these monsters, some of them get a little fast tracked because the game of fighting's evolved. You can't just be a wrestler. You can't just be uh, you know, one dimensional and go out wrestle the striker. Everyone's good at everything now. So, I think guys like and Bryce Meredith, he's taking his time. He's developing. He's developing a skill set. Bo Nickel, unfortunately, you got fast tracked and you hit
yeah.
DeRitter, the MMA world champion. Like it is what it is. But I love seeing it, man. I love the culture of American wrestling, and I think we're just scratching the surface. There's a new generation of like these wrestlers that are winning all the national tournaments, but they're also doing like kickboxing smokers, and they're also doing Naga tournaments and winning. So
Yeah.
there's a whole new breed coming up. I'd say in the next like 5, 6 years, that's going to be a very dangerous bunch.
And you'd like to stay back busy doing those tournaments as well. I remember I saw you doing, I think I heard you saw you did one like last year, I think it was, like in August time, where you were facing like the Kelvin and you were able to get the victory. Do you feel like being able to stay in that scene, be able to keep active, whether it's MMA fights, whether it's jiu-jitsu, do you feel like that is important? Just keep that competitive spirit inside you.
Yeah, and that's what that was. Because, like I said, I was with a fight game. I just didn't want to fight for
Yeah,
penny. I just didn't. I'd done it. I was okay with it. But I have to compete. That's just who I am as a person. So I had to have stuff on the calendar, and I love jujitsu. I love all grappling. So it was just something to keep me busy, keep me active. I think subconsciously I knew there was going to be a fight at some point come. Uh, but competition's competition. So just staying active just helped me through that time, and it was fun. A
and
little less
also
stress, weight cut.
and obviously, you are liking to stay active and you are not wanting to just be looking for your next fight. And that's kind of where the tournament comes in handy because you win, you know exactly when your next fight is. You're not having to try and work it out, try and get the matchmaking. You've got that already sorted. Do you feel like that is the benefit with the PFL? You don't, they kind of have that strict schedule. So maybe even if you aren't successful in the tournament, you still have those dates to target.
Yeah, I think it's cool what they're doing. I think the tournament format, growing up wrestling, that's you kind of just love the tournament format of anything, even like college football here in America. They do like a bracketed format. So I just always love that. I think it's cool. So to go beat this guy and then get involved in that, that's going to be really cool to be a part of. But yeah, you see guys all the time just training, waiting on the call. Managers and talks, we're waiting on the call. So I think it'll be very nice to kind of have like an off season and a season and have a calendar to look at and be like, hey, here's our dates. That'll be a nice change of pace for sure.
And then you're also going to be able to fight against people in all over the world. With the PFL, they've got their subcategories. They have got PFL Europe here. They've just started the PFL Africa, and next year they're starting PFL Oceania. And I think they're also wanting to do PFL South America and Asia. Do you feel like being able to have that variety of different fighters, have different backgrounds, do you feel like that will just help you guys just be extra motivated with extra things to be able to learn from these competitors?
Yeah, I think it's cool. So many different walks of life, so many different backgrounds. Everyone's bringing a different taste to the cage, and that is a good point. I think that's, what makes PFL very diverse with their roster. See a lot of cool matchups and the world tournament. Like Storley just beat a guy from like Japan, and now he's got some
Yeah.
really good strike. Thad Gene, like, yeah, cool styles to make fights, and I think that's a cool element to it for sure.
And what would you say has been your toughest fight so far?
My toughest fight so far. I mean, just encompassing everything that makes a fight tough, I'd say the George Hardwick fight. Uh, it was a good fight. It was a fun fight, but tough fight, gritty. Then to like lose in London and then have to hop on an 18-hour flight by myself off the loss. It was just a tough situation.
Exactly. And if you were to go back to yourself, like when you were first starting your pro career, and to give him any advice, what would you be telling yourself back then?
Don't rush it. Just take your time. Get I got kind of fast tracked. They turned me pro at like 20 years old, and
Yeah.
early on was just fighting fights I shouldn't have fought. Just young kid, not good guidance. Just develop the skill. Don't worry about outside stuff. Just get good, get in shape, take your time. Because especially now in the fight game, this can happen quick. Once you go pro, you get 5, 6 first round finishes, or not first round finishes, but finishes. Or if you get 75% of those are finishes, you're seeing guys go in the contender series at 6-0, 5-0,
Yeah.
6-1, 7-1. Like it can happen very fast. So I think patience is a huge part of this. And then, you just never know when the opportunity is going to come. I least expected this. Luckily, I'm grateful that I had so much time to prepare when I got the call. I feel like not really, that's kind of rare in today's MMA game is to like get an 8 week notice. Unless you're already signed, like, you know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
signed to UFC, and you're already established, but even those like early newcomers on their first contract already signed to the UFC, those guys will get a call in 4 week notice and then have to jump on. So just grateful for that. Uh, excited to get in there.
And how you once you go in, you get that finish, how you celebrating that win?
From this one,
Yeah.
I mean, I want to just act like I belong, like I've envisioned it for 8 weeks. Go finish this guy but I love crowds and I love energy. So I don't know. I might like last fight, I saw Steve-O and I jumped the cage and I had to say what's up to Steve-O. Then I started dancing to Soldier Boy. Then I jumped on the cage and kind of flipped his people off. I don't know. I shouldn't have done that part, but like I just get in the moment. I don't know. I'll, here in America, we have these like in London, they don't really have those like an athletic commission that's like
Yeah.
by you with everything you do. So you see all those guys like jump the cage and go like riot in the crowd. Here, they're constantly like trying to like not let you do that. But finish this guy, ref pulls me off, probably jump the cage, go say what's up to my mom and wife,
So
then go
should the
get
people in the front row should they pr protect themselves or
just be ready for a big hug, you know?
and then obviously you were on the contender series. How was that experience for you? Because obviously, unfortunately, it didn't go your way, but it is like you were saying, it is that door to the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I won. I just didn't get signed that night, which sucked.
Yeah.
But it was a weird time. It was during COVID, it's 2020, and you're stuck in this like UFC hotel, like way off the grid in the middle of nowhere in Vegas. You have one cornerman with you, can't leave your room. They have security in the hallway. Like it was kind of eerie in that sense. And then it was weird, like I'm behind those the doors you always dream of at the Ultimate Fighter house and like the Apex, and they're like, all right, Kyle, you're walking in three, two, one, go. And I pushed the doors open. It was just dead silent. Like no one's talking. All you can hear is like cameras flickering. So it was kind of weird in that sense. There was no energy of any sort, but it's what you know, there's
Yeah.
Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard. Let's scrap. Like it was a really cool milestone in my career, that's for sure.
And do you feel like nowadays it just kind of seems like you win and you're in the UFC in the contender series? It just seems like they are dishing out a lot more contracts. Do you feel like the bar to try and get in has gotten slightly less, or do you feel like it's just a lot more absolute killers coming in?
I just think it depends on Dana's mood, and that's what I noticed with mine. So I the week before me was five decisions. And Dana White got on at the end and he said, I'm in a good mood. I just got back from vacation. I'm taking all five guys. Cool. I go get in a sick fight. And I should have stuck to the game plan. The game plan was just to Khabib him, take him down, maul him. But I heard Bisping before I walked out said if Driscoll can't get this fight to the ground, he's in trouble. So I looked at my coach behind the door and I was like, man, screw that. Like, I'll go out box this dude because he was the boxer. And I did, and it was a good fight, but I won the decision. But I guess Dana wasn't still in that good mood and didn't he was pretty particular that night on took on who he took. But I think it just depends on Dana, how he's feeling that day, where he's at that day. It's
So,
you don't know what you're gonna get.
so if anyone going on the contender series is watching this, and you just wanted to anonymously give Dana a wee vacation 2 weeks before your fight, that might just help your cause.
You're a genius, dude. That's it, man. Send him to Cabo for 2, 3 days, have him come back on Tuesday and then fight. You're going.
And everyone else, make sure you guys tune in to August the 1st, where you can see Kyle cement his place in that PFL tournament next year. Is there anything you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
I'm good, man. I just everyone in my corner, they know who they are. I appreciate them, and I'm excited to go put on a show.
And we can't wait to see you get that finish. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, brother.